Welcome back to Inclusion Revolution. I'm Tova, and as I mentioned earlier, Krista Harder is with us, and Krista's here to talk a lot about a holistic approach to not only your own personal life as persons with disabilities or even without disability, but in fact in the context of programming that is available in our community, and why Krista feels it's so important that agencies in our community that do provide programming for high-risk youth or just persons with disabilities should really look at how they're integrating holistic lifestyles and so on. Now, before we broke, we talked about, for instance, a hike you took a group on. And I wanted to know, because I have to tell you, one of the things I've always faced in doing outdoor external activities is a lot of times the clients themselves aren't necessarily comfortable doing it, and because it's outside that little protected classroom, and now we're back at where a lot of fears occur. So can you tell me, for instance, with that group, did you find there was resistance, or everybody seemed to be really excited to get out of the class, or how did you deal with whatever might have come up in terms of challenges?
Sure, Tova. I think it's a lot to do with framing too. So when you say the word hike, a lot of people might be intimidated at first. So, you know, framing it like we're going outside, we're doing a little outdoor excursion, we're taking a walk. You know, once they get there and then they see things, you know, they might have a little bit more resistance, but it's, you know, encouraging, it's setting up and allowing people to recognize that, yes, they do have their own personal limits, but we're going to try and push past their comfort zone. And so with that particular group, like I said, one young lady had a physical disability, and balance was an issue, so, you know, we walked a little slower, whereas another lady had, you know, for her it was more about being in an uncomfortable situation outside of, you know, the norm. And so we worked with that too. So for her, we said, you know, when you're comfortable, you can come join us at this other point, you know, giving her some time, some space. And I found with a lot of the youth, the ones that were most resistant were the ones that got the most out of the experience. And at the end of the day, a lot of them just said they really appreciated that time and that space. So they were able to take in the nature and think, and a lot of that we don't get that on a daily basis because we're so inundated with, you know, the media and electronics and video games that you never have a chance to just sit and think. And I think that was a really powerful experience for some of the people. It was more just being outside.
Right. So I've got a little bit of the outdoor, and I think what I need you to do just to keep me on focus is to tell me, what do you mean, or what does it mean to you when you talk about a holistic approach, and specifically, if you don't mind, in the context, not so much of an individual, but like what you would like to see reachability where you work, in your perfect world, what would be a holistic approach to, for instance, your program of providing confidence or conflict management to people of all ages who live with disability? Like, what is a holistic approach in that context?
So that would just be encompassing all aspects of the self. So as individuals, we all have needs, our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and a lot of the time we're not able to address those. So an agency that understands that and sees that that can be met in several different ways. And when you talk about spiritual, a lot of people immediately think religion, but as an organization, you can provide that spiritual outlet for people without even realizing it, like providing yoga on a lunch break, or having a meditation after work, or as an employer offering an incentive that, you know, a person can have a half an hour in the morning to exercise, to clear their mind, to get in touch with themselves. You know, all of those things an organization can offer. Obviously, healthy choices as far as eating. You know, when you have a board meeting offering things other than coffee and tea and sweets. You know, just thinking about all the realms that you really could address.
Right. Because this is really what is fascinating me, is how any agency in the community can be this holistic approach, because I do believe in the benefits to the client, and I've actually met some of the clients you've worked with and seen the result in terms of speaking with them and them just not thinking they ever wanted to leave the building for a lot of social anxiety reasons and fears, and then coming back feeling almost proud. Right. And I couldn't quite figure out, well, why can't they stay in the office and do some journaling and feel proud? But I'm really learning more and more, and you've certainly taught me some of this, the importance of this holistic integration in programming. And I'm really wanted to hear from you today, and I wanted to share with our listeners and viewers, because the most important thing is that we're all keeping our mind open to how to provide our clients with the best possible supports. And although words and classroom and whiteboards and, you know, books and journaling are all things that I know that are commonly used, it's what you're talking about that I think is really, well, revolutionary to some extent compared to what's been done. And that's, of course, why I wanted you on here today. Now, you've talked a little bit about the outdoorsy stuff.
Right.
What about, where does things like, you know, I hear a lot about yoga and acupressure, maybe not so much acupuncture, but, you know, and breathing. You know, you hear a lot about the breathing. And as you know, many of clients with disability, whether they initially had it or not, have developed a lot of anxiety, probably from having to function with a disability in a society that likes to handicap them all the way.
Sure.
That said, tell me a little bit of how you could see, again, in a more institutional fashion, like an agency like where you work, where you see, for instance, yoga coming in. Does it come in, or are we asking too much?
No, I think it definitely has its place, as well as breathing exercises. It's about incorporating all these things into a daily lifestyle so that clients can adopt these practices for themselves. And I do breathing exercises in the SYCLE program, and I noticed one client, after we had practiced them and, you know, we had done this, spent a little time on it, and then the next day she came in and she was having a little bit of anxiety, and it was after a break, and I walked in and she had her eyes closed and she was practicing the breathing. And I found that really reassuring, that she was actually using some of these techniques, and she said it did help her. And the same as people that have panic disorder and things like that, if they're able to moderate their breathing, and that's something that they can do for themselves. So we're trying to teach techniques that...
Right. Now, do you at reachAbility approach anything around when you see someone who's clearly unhealthy or eating like chips all day? Is it something that you would approach a client on, or is it something really we have to leave to the clients, and only within the structure, of course, the programming time, can we really involve? Or have you thought about or talked about the idea of introducing maybe a nutrition standard at your agency, or is it something you'd like to see agencies do in the future? And how, you know, I'm throwing that out because I just don't know, but it seems like it would be a great idea. What are your thoughts?
Well, it would be a great idea, and it's all about modeling, right? So if we're sitting there eating Burger King for lunch, and we've just done a nutrition segment for our clients, you know,
lead by example.
Exactly.
What I'm hearing.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that it's still personal choice, and we can educate, and I think that's what it comes down to, is a lot of it, it's habit, and people aren't aware that what they're putting into their bodies is having an effect not only on their physical health but their mental health. And by encouraging people to adopt a healthier lifestyle, of course we will see more change.
Right. And you know, I know that many of our clients have very low budgets, and a lot of nutrition has gone out the window from, you know, what I've read is as incomes go down, because it's cheaper to get the big double mac necessarily than maybe like a tabbouleh salad with, you know, forgive me, I'm not the healthy eater, so whatever healthy thing you might have ordered versus a Big Mac. Let's say that. So what I'd like to do is ask you to consider how you might approach that kind of issue, because the truth be told, there are financial restrictions, and is it reasonable? And I'm asking you because I know you care deeply about nutrition and have knowledge, and I want you to think about this and answer when we come back. Is it reasonable for people with low incomes to still have expectation of healthy living and nutrition based on some of the challenges that they face? But first, let's take a quick break. This is Inclusion Revolution here on Eastlink Television. We have Krista Harder joining us today, and we're talking about a holistic lifestyle. We'll be right back.